Raising consciousness and awakening mankind. This is End of Days Radio. From the broken ruins of Babylon, this is End of Days Radio. The date is June 25th, 2017. This is your host, Daniel, broadcasting from the shimmering Emerald City, right here in the heart of the Pacific Northwest. I do have a very special guest today. His name is V, the very mysterious V, coming from the Red Pill Hardcore podcast. This is a newer podcast, and I like it because this guy does not screw around. He is not afraid to take on the tough issues. He is not afraid to challenge a higher power. In fact, I did get this little description from his website that I'm going to read right now. Excuse me, let me prepare. The Red Pill Show is America's best alternative news media, giving you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. If you want propaganda and lies, go to the Blue Pill Show because mainstream media is nothing short of mind control. On a personal note, hey, wannabe mind controllers and enemies of the Constitution, I got a book that you should read. It's about me referencing to any MC who doubt me. It will correct you, it will affect you, it will make things clear for you not to be bringing that bullshit around here. Keep reading. It will also say that if you disrespect anything over this way, I will guarantee an awesome array of word and gunplay. I'm destroying the psyops of the Cyclops because when you pressure me, I educate thee. Very interesting, isn't it? I did listen to some of these shows, and they were fascinating. But what could be better than talking to the man himself? Let me go ahead and dial him up now. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, is this V from the Red Pill Hardcore Show?
This is he.
How are you doing?
Doing okay.
Sweet. Well, first thing I wanted to do is just introduce you a little bit, and my favorite way to do that is to take a little trip back through time and ask you, V, how is it that you became interested in this type of subject matter, into the conspiracy, fringe, fighting the system? How did you get into this?
Well, I'm a targeted individual.
And how long has this been going on?
For the past 4 years.
So 4 years ago it started. Was there one specific event that happened that made you realize, hey, there's something weird going on?
Yeah, when I was targeted by an NSA PSYOP. My communications became tapped, my computers were hacked. I started getting NSA remote neural monitoring, voices, the whole thing.
So you would be maybe sitting there by your computer, your phone, and you'd hear voices come through?
Oh, it has nothing to do with the technology that's around me. I'm receiving voice to skull 24/7.
Okay, that's very interesting. What sort of what does it feel like? What sort of things do they say?
Well, it's a self-execution program. They want me to kill a bunch of other people and then kill myself.
Yikes, that sounds a little scary.
That's the entire agenda. Yeah.
Did they have anybody specific? Well, I suppose I shouldn't ask that, but were you were you being programmed to target any high level people?
Oh no, no. It's just. Have you ever heard of Aaron Alexis or Myron May?
Those names sound familiar. Who are they?
The Florida State shooter and the Navy Yard shooter.
Oh, okay. You know, there's so many of these shootings and stuff. At some point, I just completely unplugged myself, so I apologize if I'm a little behind on the references.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many of them because all of them are targeted individuals.
What about a
All.
guy like James Holmes?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
What about a guy like James Holmes, the movie theater shooter?
He was a targeted individual as well.
Are there any other notable people, maybe would-be assassins or assassins that you're sure have been targeted individuals?
Uh, every one of them since Charles Whitman, the UT clock tower shooter. They've all been targeted individuals ever since. He was the first.
And is this done? You said earlier that this doesn't have anything to do with technology. Is this
No,
done through technology, or is it done through perhaps a telepathic means?
well, it's not done through computers or phones, but it's done via satellites and cell towers.
Oh, okay. So the cell tower, I've heard this before, that cell towers, they're not actually necessarily for our cell phones. They're actually broadcasting mind control signals.
They absolutely are.
Now, before what happened 4 years ago, did you have any clue about conspiracy or anything like that?
Uh, yeah, a little bit. From a military family, so I know naturally to not trust anything from the government.
So
So,
so in your household, there may have been times when you observed or heard of something being covered up, maybe?
uh, yeah. Is this the actual show or just pre-show?
We're live.
We're live. Okay.
So yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm. Yeah. Basically, just your everyday, ordinary guy until I was uh, one day targeted for doing a little research, and I found out who all the Illuminati members were, and these sort of things, and just going through different conspiracies, whatnot. But the thing that really triggered it was talking to a friend one day, and I jokingly said, you know, be careful what you say. The NSA is listening to our communications, and then boom, it happened. I mean, I've been targeted my entire life as far as I know, but for the actual involvement of the synthetic telepathy harassment, the gang stalking, the computer hacking, all this stuff has just gone on nonstop for 4 years.
So you've actually had your computer. What happened on the computer? Did you have files deleted? Were there threatening messages?
Anything you can think of. Censorship, deleting contacts, destroying internet connections, to actually speaking to me through the computers. They would use sort of a robot-like voice. I remember one time they were saying, we don't want you on the computers anymore. We have technology that will tear you apart. And it's like, oh yeah, really? Well, go ahead and do it.
Now, has this extended to while trying to do your show, put on your podcast, the Red Pill Hardcore? Has your broadcast been interfered with?
Oh, numerous times. The deeper the subject, the more uh, secret information I give away, the better that, my show is, so they'll try to destroy it. Uh, I've got electronic harassment lawsuit that I'm starting up here very soon, and I just everything imaginable you can think of, dropping calls, turning sounds robotic. Uh, Lately, they've actually been turning off my phone apps on my phones, on my cell phones, so that I cannot receive calls or make them.
Oh wow, so they're actually isolating you from communicating.
They're doing their best, which is a little bit hard to do since I'm having multiple, I want to say, investigations. Well, they will be launching here soon. I am in the media. I have a radio show. I have a TV show, and it's becoming the things that they have to do to isolate me are becoming less and less obvious, but still very effective. So I have to do what I can do to get around, go around, and overcome.
Are you afraid that they might just get fed up and decide to beat you up really bad or kill you?
Well, as far as beating me up, no. I mean, I'm ex-military myself. I'm a trained fighter even before then. Uh, I'm the kind of guy that goes to a bar fight and ends up taking out all the bouncers. uh,
Well,
so,
fair enough. I'm sure you're very well able to handle yourself, but I mean, the military, they're coming at you with multiple people and weapons and all kinds of stuff. I mean, surely you can't fight back against something like
well,
that.
well, if they really wanted to kill me, they could. Absolutely. They can snipe me. They can even beam me, give me cancer. Point is, though, if they do, well, that just makes me a martyr, and everything is validated. Everything I've ever said becomes validation in the truth. So they would rather have me look crazy.
That actually, well, I don't mean I haven't been harassed anywhere near to the degree that you have, but I have had my show interfered with. I did have one of my shows actually shut down completely, where my internet was taken out for no reason at all, and then it was turned right back on as soon as that time window ended. It was very strange. A lot of people just told me it was the wind. Daniel, you're getting paranoid. You need to stop obsessing over this stuff. You're creating it. But I know that's not the case. I know that that was just too weird. It was impossible for my internet to just go out randomly like that when I had such a huge show planned.
Oh yeah, they're all about censorship, and they'll do censorship by making it look like, oh, it's an error or just bad reception, or that's their sneaky, underhanded ways. I mean, I have been, on computers since I was a young adult, and it just I've been a gamer. I'm actually a gamer. I've never experienced any kind of things that I have experienced. I became targeted. I've had computers completely taken over, and things just my mouse just moving right before my eyes and just clicking off things and just anything to be disruptive.
Yeah, what makes it hard nowadays is that every single one of us, just about, I mean, not everybody, but most of us walk around with a smartphone in our pocket, and it's got a camera, it's got a microphone. Basically, it has everything that a person would need to snoop on somebody.
Oh yeah. Actually, when I was in the military, one of our COs did an exercise in front of us where he gave us a cell phone, and we were to go out to a certain area and take out the battery, turn off the phone, take out the battery, whatnot. And when we came back, he played us a recording of everything we've said.
Oh, that is very disturbing. So he actually had you take out the battery and the damn thing still worked?
Oh yeah, this stuff works on a level of what I like to call frequency tapping or quantum tapping. As long as all the circuits are put together, all we have to do is hit it with the frequency, and it'll get a power supply to it, a small power supply where it works on a low operational level. It'll still do its job, what it's supposed to do, and that's receive communications and send communications.
Interesting. Have you had any, let's see, how should I word this? Have you had any people enter your life, approach you, or try to talk to you that you suspected might have been sent to spy on you or manipulate you or control you somehow? Has anything like that happened?
Oh yes, every target individual has. They're called handlers. These people are there to control you, and if you're the kind of person that can't be controlled, then they'll send what are called perps or perpetrators. These people are the sabotagers. These people will follow you around. They'll stalk you for very long periods of times. They'll do what's called street theater, where they'll act out something that's happened to you recently, or just convey messages to you that only you would know. These are the kind of people that would, you know, cut your brake lines on your car, kill your battery, little things like that, just to be annoying.
Do you have any idea who might be mainly behind this? I mean, is this black budget military? Is it corporations? Is it elite families? Who's actually paying these people to go out and mess with targeted individuals?
All of the above. They're all one and the same.
So they're all pretty much they're part of the web or the triangle, the octopus.
Correct. Most of these people who are, these ruling families or whatever, they have their hands in the corporations, corporation heads. You have black budget operations, which are funded by these people largely. For example, we have the NSA. Most people think the NSA is entirely a governmental agency when most of the NSA is just contract military companies, like Boeing or Booz Allen, for example. These are just contractors who actually have no legal authority, but they're looked at as government entities and given high clearances.
So they're actually breaking the law and they think they can get away with it, basically.
Oh, they're breaking majority of the constitutional laws covertly. And if you say anything against them, well, you're crazy.
Okay, I got one for you. What type of person becomes a gang stalker? How would somebody become one of these bullies, one of these paid bullies? How does that work?
Okay, well, one example would be InfraGard. Are you aware of InfraGard?
No.
Um, Several years back, I know I remember seeing a commercial about this when I was a preteen on TV about InfraGard, Eagle Scouts, and these clubs, boys clubs, these groups, recruiting InfraGard agents, sort of like Homeland Security, but just for your neighborhood. It's sort of like a community watch. Now, it's not your average ordinary community watch, but these people are people who have been recruited under false pretenses. They'll say, well, would you like to do us a service? Would you like to help out your country? This is a national security issue. And they'll give these illegal false deputizations, I guess, if that's a word. They'll deputize people who actually have no authority and to go and stalk someone, to report on them, to do all these things in front of these people or in front of the targets. And I guess another way that it's done, there are other target individuals who are approached or they're promised to be left alone if they go and stalk someone or report on someone. So target individuals themselves can become gang stalkers.
Okay, so
Others
basically
are
they get told that if they become a gang stalker, then it's like it's better to join them than fight them, sort of thing.
right, right. And then you have law enforcement that want to be vigilantes. They're not satisfied with the work they have to do and feel like they have to go even further with things. For example, anyone who's found not guilty, just because they were set up by police, found not guilty, and cops hold grudges. People need to understand this. Police officers hold grudges. If you gave them a whole bunch of trouble while being arrested, if you punched them or fought back or anything like that, that sets you up for being a target individual. You'll be harassed just for going against the system.
That is
Uh,
true. That's very true. I remember when I was a teenager, certain rough individuals that would put up too much of a fight with the cops. Next thing you know, they'd be driving by their house and watching like everything that they do.
yeah, which is very illegal, entirely illegal. Um, just because you wear a badge doesn't mean you can break the law. It's absurd. Um, yeah. So well, I got a question for you, really quick.
Sure.
So is your program faith based?
No, no, hell no.
Okay. Well, I came on the assumption because of the name of your show.
Yeah, I do have a very strong spirituality. I definitely believe in a spiritual world and believe in an afterlife. But if I gave you the wrong impression, and if you thought that this show was a Christian show or something like that, then I don't know what to tell you. There, you can go to endofdaysradio.com and all the information is there.
Okay. Well, I just get told information. I just get booked on the shows, okay? Well, I bring that up because I really would like to address the spirituality issue of
Yeah, I mean
side of.
that's no problem, V. In fact, I had a whole bunch of questions here about things like spirituality, demonic things, and stuff like that because it's my understanding that this is a huge part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, you already have the question, so hit me.
Okay, well, let's just start from the beginning. Now, when you say faith based, what are we getting at here? Are you telling me that there is perhaps a satanic element behind this?
Well, Luciferians, yes, absolutely. These so-called Freemasons are beings or people who actually believe that they can somehow replace God, become gods themselves. So they do everything they can to subjugate anyone else because, in all actuality, in all truth, they cannot ascend. They cannot do these things. So they have to subjugate everyone else and bring everyone else down. That would actually make them look like they're higher up, they're gods or something. So they can't do it physically speaking. They're not real alpha males. They can't dominate anyone, you know, like a man would. So they actually rely on technology. They rely on lying to people. They rely on any subversive, cowardly tactics you can think of. And yeah, I mean, one thing is to attack people's faith and control them by it.
Now, could this be some of the reasoning behind what you see happen into society? Because I remember when I was a little kid, it seemed like most people were religious, they were Christian. But now as an adult, I'm 34 now, it seems like a lot of people have become atheistic, very materialistic. There seems to be a movement towards that mentality. Does that kind of make sense?
Well, I know some people are waking up to. I mean, I'm not here to trash anyone's religion, but there's some things that you have to understand if you're going to evolve. And that is not to be controlled by any certain religion. It's okay to be spiritual. We are all creatures of energy. I believe we all have souls. That is the energy. But to be controlled by this invisible figure who has a certain set of rules that you must follow, and if you don't follow them, you'll be punished. Now, this is, you know, something that the government has taken advantage of immensely. Multiple governments, we have our government fighting against, or actually pitting us against other cultures. I mean, this is outside of government to government. They're putting against culture, religion against religion. This whole farce conflict between Christians and Muslims, you're being used if you believe in that. You're being used if you believe that all Muslims are a problem. You're being used if you think that, all Christians are, whatever. This is simply depopulation, keeping the world in conflict so that they can hide and manipulate things from behind the scenes. This is a game to them. Nothing more. And so, I mean, when it comes to this illegal technology that they're using, voice to skull, which is actually the older version of the technology, is simply synthetic telepathy. Synthetic telepathy, remote neural hookup to a machine via satellite, an AI, a computer.
So would this be, is what you're alluding to? I know that there's a lot of patents out there. Being somebody that researches conspiracy and is always going online and looking at forums and stuff like that, I'm always being told of such and such patent from 1960 something, 1970 something, where they actually had some kind of mind influencing technology like 30, 40 years ago.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And all these people who were killing their children, drowning their babies in bathtubs because God told them to do so. These are the voice of God weapons. Okay. Commander Solo. This is an name of an ordinance used in Desert Storm. The NSA turned on PSYOP, and in a specific area, a lot of enemy troops, thousands of enemy troops came out and surrendered to a handful of U.S. soldiers. Why? Because they all simultaneously heard the voice of Allah telling them to disarm and surrender. And they obeyed. Joke's on them, right? So, you have these children who are going to mommy and daddy's closets, getting guns and killing themselves with it. Well, guess what? They're being told to do so for gun control. Gun control. They got to take away our guns so they can control us more. Gun control.
That does make sense because like I was saying earlier, like we were talking about earlier, there seems to be one of these shootings popping up, every 3 days? It's insane.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, these children who have imaginary friends and they're told this is and that, they go, walk off the edge of a building, crawl up the windows, jump and fall to their deaths. I know I heard a story where this kid was actually stopped from jumping through his window because it was some sort of plexiglass. The parents asked him why did he try to jump out the window. Oh, my best friend told me to do it. Now, they do have holographic technology. Our atmosphere is plasma sized, okay, with the chemtrails. Uh, Holograms can be created by interfering beam technology, interferometry. It's actually how the synthetic telepathy works too. But the whole shadow men or people seeing angels and they talk to them, they tell them to do stuff. You know, they're playing with everyone's faiths, and I'm really tired of seeing it. I do not want these people to have this capability. They're misusing it. It's an abomination.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I can say, in regard to what we were talking about earlier, one of the reasons why I'm not somebody that believes in the Bible word for word. I'm not somebody that preaches or does anything like that, because I have to question how much of religion itself is a manipulation. How many times has it been edited or subverted in the past? It's not that I don't believe that there's a God, or I don't believe in wisdom, in having wisdom or faith. It's just that I don't trust the sources.
Well, the Bible's been rewritten at least over 18 times, I believe.
At
So many
least,
books
yeah.
have been added, taken out. So, hey,
How?
it,
I'm sorry. Go
well,
ahead.
it's all. Oh, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask. One of the major points of contention in the world right now on the news and in the media is the situation going on in Israel. Is that kind of what you're alluding to? That whole kerfluffle over there?
Well, this whole thing with Israel, yeah, the Bible's been rewritten so many times based on political agendas. Now, this whole thing in Israel, these people are trying to force events that are in the Bible onto real life. Okay, the technology, they can mimic anything out of the Bible. Okay, we have reverse engineered UFOs. Okay, we have uh, earthquake technology. We have weather weapons. We can essentially bring people back from the dead by cloning them. I mean, they're trying to bring out all these events that are in the Bible. The seas that turn red. Well, all you got to do is hit a source of water. This actually has happened many times over the past few years where rivers have run red. Well, just hit it with the energy weapon, or frequency weapon. The iron and the water turn the water red upon interaction with these beams. These mass beachings of whales and fish, dolphins. These are frequency weapons being used by the navies. Mass flocks of birds falling out of the sky. These cell towers. They're controlling everyone by their religious faith just because of certain miracles that they're supposed to freak out about. And it's disgusting how they are manipulating people. These people who think that they are mediums for aliens, or they're prophets because they hear the voice of God, or they hear Xenu. It's really disgusting how they're manipulating people. And I'm doing everything in my power to wake people up. The game's up. The jig's over. People got to wake up before they get duped into a reality that's not theirs or one that they even want.
I have to wonder, because there's so many people out there that report speaking with ghosts or channeling or having this or that interaction. For example, you see a lot of homeless people, they seem to talk to the air. There doesn't seem to be anybody there. Do you feel like this could be that technology that they're actually just getting, they're being deceived into thinking that it's something spiritual?
Well, I'm actually glad you brought that up. When you see a homeless person talking to themselves, they are a targeted individual. The whole point of being targeted, um, I mean, most people can go through lives being targeted, but in the process of being targeted, your resources will be taken from you. You'll get screwed out of them. Your job, you'll get gang stalked at work. You have someone come in and just harass you at work, cause problems for you, make you lose your job. Have something stolen from you. You can't pay for your house. They strip you of your friends, family, and your resources. Guess what? You're homeless. And so, yeah, these
Hmm.
people that are talking to themselves, pissed off all the time, these homeless people cannot get jobs because they're looked at as crazy. But they are, in fact, targeted. I
So
mean,
a big part of
mhm.
this, sorry to cut you off, but I was just going to comment. A big part of this seems to be taking away the money, making sure that a person is so distracted trying to meet those basic needs that they can't wake anybody up.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. They want to create a bigger gap between the rich and the poor because that means more control for those who are richer. They want to destroy the middle class. They really, really, really do. So,
Now, I do have to ask you, are there actually real entities out there? Could some of this gang stalking stuff, could it be cases of possession? Perhaps there are reptilian aliens or even demonic beings involved on some level?
well, if you want to talk about, theoretical stuff here, I mean, it's possible, but from my experience, this is all technological. It's artificial intelligence hooked up to computers. Again, they can simulate certain phenomena. For example, the old hag syndrome, where people wake up and they see a fuzzy, dark entity and sitting on their chest, and people wake up and they can't breathe. Well, a lot of this is visual induced hallucinations. A person is literally being squeezed by a magnetic field, an implied magnetic field, to where they cannot breathe. And so, again, this is how the government gets out of their covert harassment, out of their covert assassinations, their covert killings, is to have the victims think that what's going on to them is supernatural. But who knows? The government actually has been into the occult. I mean, go back to Hitler, and his Vril Society. They have been dark occultists for millennia, ever since they stole information from my ancestors back in the mystery schools. So, I mean, if they have ways to disrupt reality with frequency bombardment and allow something that lives parallel to us come out and attack people, hey, it's a possibility.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I wish that I could provide more answers myself. If I was to throw my best guess out there, I would probably think that it's both, just because I do kind of have that faith in a supernatural world. But it does make a great deal of sense to me that they are faking people out, deceiving them, and creating these illusions. Like you said, it's the best way to manipulate someone is to manipulate their core belief system, their religion.
Absolutely.
Do you believe in aliens at all?
Well, this is a subject I usually stay away from because it's very discrediting. But No, it would be impossible for us to be the only, intelligent life form or any life form in the universe. I'm not a flat earther. I know the Earth is round. I've flown across the planet, so I know there are other planets out there. There are other spheres
Hey,
out
hey,
there.
how did you know I was going to ask you about flat Earth?
Well, you're just going right through them all, so might as well answer it now. But no, I know physics. I'm very adept in science. I've been a researcher for quite some time. So physics, it, the fact that atoms exist, I'm not flat. You're not flat. Your car's not flat. So I'm sorry, the Earth cannot be flat.
So no possibility at all that we are all being deceived.
Well, what's above, so below? So everything is mimicked. It's a holographic universe, from the smallest thing in the universe to the largest. It's all the same system.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. But one thing that I find particularly interesting, just to get back into the gang stalking and surveillance and stuff like that, I remember when I was a kid that I would watch shows like Dateline and 48 Hours when they were on. My parents would watch them. They'd be on the TV. And I remember hearing something about this thing called Project Echelon. This was back in the early mid-90s at the latest. And they were saying even at that time that every single phone call in the entire country was being recorded.
Absolutely. There's no electronic communication that goes on this planet that the NSA does not know about, that it's not intercepted. Everything, cell phone to walkie talkies, talking on a computer through Skype, everything, emails, even if you're gaming, all that data that's moving is being monitored.
That does make me wonder, is there even any point to trying to be anonymous at all? I mean, can we really hide ourselves at all given what technology they have?
Well, there you have it. That's actually the question I get the most because I sort of represent anonymous. And no, there's no such thing as anonymous. It's an idea, but it doesn't exist yet. Now, we can go back to getting some privacy, not having our minds read, our devices manipulated, monitored. We'd have to disconnect from the system and have magnetically interfaceable environments. So this technology does exist. Physicists have come up with this, I believe, in 2014. A device, not a device, but material, a layering material that if you put it over something, the object inside the material is invisible magnetically. So that knocks out your satellite spying, cell towers, no Wi-Fi getting through, not even radio station signal would get through. These sort of things. A person could then actually become anonymous. Nobody's being watched through their homes by drones using millimeter wave technology. I mean, you do know why lead paint's illegal, right? It's not because babies were eating paint chips.
I never thought of that. That's interesting.
Well, yeah, absolutely. People just have to think. Connecting the dots are no problem. You just have to put down your tablet, put down your phone, look at the world for a little bit. Just you don't have to disconnect for very long, but look at the world. Look how one thing connects to another. Everything is a conspiracy until proven otherwise.
That does beg another question. Is there anything that I can do? Like, me personally, I know you don't know much about me, but I consider myself to be a targeted individual as well. I'm experiencing many of the same things that you reported, including thoughts that aren't mine. I don't know where they're coming from. The ear ringing, I heard you mention that in one of your videos. Is there anything at all that I could do, like right now, to curb some of this back? Could I run over to the hardware store and buy something that might help?
Well, I do know of materials that you can get from Walmart and make yourself an ELF jammer. But even
Really?
then, that is not as effective because we are all saturated with nanoparticulates from the chemtrails. This turns everyone to antennas. We are all tagged by our own biofrequencies that are amplified, has its own signature that the government can track anytime it wants. So if you target it, it has a lock on you. You're scheduled to be targeted till you die. Guess what? You're targeted till you die.
That is a very spooky thought. It's kind of depressing to think that there's not really a whole lot I can do about this besides, obviously make other people aware. It's a shame that there isn't some way to fight back with technology, but I suppose that would take way too much money.
Well, that's what they're counting on. But the thing is that they've gotten so greedy with this technology, and it is causing health problems. This is the key. It's causing health problems, cancers, any kind of genetic diseases, asthma. There are allergies, electric signal allergies people are developing. There's a whole anything that you can think of, any kind of sicknesses you can think of that are happening naturally can be induced by frequencies. And so, again, it's a major health issue. This is a time period where all this data is being collected and it's going to be known to the public more and more and more. So, I'm going to be campaigning on this magnetically invisible or magnetic cloaking technology. People's homes need to be made out of them. Okay? We're being damaged by all sorts of frequencies, even natural frequencies from space. Cosmic radiation has a big influence on the development of life on this planet. So,
Is there perhaps a Kickstarter campaign or a website that we might be able to visit to look up information or support this research that you're doing?
well, it's in its developing stages, not yet presented, but I kind of want to give you that exclusive information. Actually did a presentation about it a couple days ago at a convention, and it was well received. So I'm sort of collecting more feedback before I actually make an official campaign on it. It might take me a year or so because a lot of stuff has to go to court as well to get the attention of everyone.
Okay, so after the legal case, then I take it that part of the reason for the legal case is to draw attention to this. It sounds like.
I have lots of legal cases that I don't actually plan on winning, but it will get attention through my media and other people's media. So that will be the actual victory.
Okay, well, I do want to kind of go up the ladder a little bit because this can get so confusing. Are there any individuals that you would say are kind of at the top of this food chain slash ladder slash pyramid slash Charlotte's Web? Are there any individuals, perhaps the infamous Rothschilds, or perhaps somebody like this Pindar guy I've been hearing about, or maybe even somebody like Hillary Clinton?
Well, the people that are on top, when you really look at it, you have two controlling forces on this planet. Okay, it's like two sides of a coin. One side you have the bankers who control the population overtly or openly. Then you have the other side of the coin, which is military industrial complex, and this is, the covert aspect, the black ops, this sort of thing. But as far as any certain individuals, I mean, you have the families, and if you're not part of the families, well, um, and well, to actually bring more clarity to what I'm talking about, there's the pyramid. Okay, you have three sides to the triangle. You have the people, which is the biggest side. That's the base of the pyramid, and you have the priesthood, which is next up, and these are your secret service agencies, your intelligence agencies, your priesthood. It can be taken literally, priesthood as well. Then you have your king or the president. Now, who controls the population? People would say, well, it's the politicians. Well, the king is always sacrificed. There's a good king, there's a bad king, doesn't matter. He's sacrificed. Who keeps continuing and stays in power? The priesthood. The priesthood always goes on. It always continues. It keeps going. It keeps going. And the population is continuously subjugated, no matter how many politicians we go through. So who's really in power? You have your secret society individuals who are controlling the technology today. And that would be NSA, CIA, biggest terrorist groups on the planet, agencies, quote unquote.
Yeah, I had an interesting individual on the show in the past. His name's Michael Aquino, the former head of the NSA, and he wrote an interesting book called Mind War. And if you read that book, if you read it, it just completely outlines the philosophy behind what they're doing. And while I did speak with Michael Aquino and found him to be a pretty delightful elder gentleman that didn't seem to have much evil in him, reading that book, it does kind of, it's scary because you realize the type of thinking that goes into justifying all this spying and stuff. And there's no way that I can say that that's a good thing or that's a positive or anything like that. It's wrong to invade people's privacy, period.
Michael Aquino is a pedophile, oil lover. He's probably the most disgusting being on the planet. I hear reports that he's dead. I hear some reports that he's still alive. But if he's dead, let's just hope he's in the deepest pit of hell.
Oh, he's very much alive, and he does his interviews every so often. We just had him on here not that long ago. Yeah, he's alive and kicking, and he vehemently denies the allegations. I can't say, I can't judge one way or another whether he did it or not, but I do know what you mean. There are some very, very strong arguments against him being a good individual for sure. And then you have you have to wonder, how is it that our national security agency is tied up with the Satanic Church at all? I mean, that's disturbing on many levels, isn't it?
Well, they're Luciferians again. Well, we're coming full circle. Okay, these are Luciferians who believe they're God, they can do anything. Anything that they do is right. And so they have these mind control or psychological operations, mind wars, psi wars, anything you want to call it. Now, it's based on MK Ultra or trauma-based mind control. To control someone, you have to traumatize them, offer them a way out, and then they're yours forever. And One form of this is pedophilia. You traumatize a child by raping them, and this is something the Satanic Church does. These Luciferians do. They rape children, they molest children, and they become controlled. They can be put on a switch. You know, normal one moment, absolutely crazy the next. So, yeah.
How about, I did want to talk to you about this. The topic is 9/11. Was 9/11 an inside job?
Absolutely. The technology I'm talking to you about, beam interferometry, or having people see things, visual hallucinations combined with 3D holographic light beam interferometry. This is Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam was used in 9/11. Now, the place was rigged with bombs everywhere, the little thermite strips along the I-beams, along with directed energy weapons, which caused dustification, as Dr. Judy Woods likes to say. There's no evidence of any plane that ever hit the building. No plane pieces, everything was turned into dust. Okay? There are these videos online you can see what it looks like when a jet hits a slab of concrete. The jet disintegrates. Not disintegrates, but it flies to pieces. There are obvious pieces there, and then hardly a dent in the concrete. So it was definitely an inside job. The place was rigged. This Larry guy who owned the building, who I think he bought it 3 months before he bought the World Trade Centers and put a huge insurance policy on it. These things, one thing leads to another. You have to go down the rabbit hole, but it's pretty obvious if you just look at what's going on. $6 trillion went missing that day. The government doesn't know where it went. Hey guys, $6 trillion is gone. Oh, look over there, 9/11. It was a huge psyop. Okay, the money that went missing went to the intelligence agencies to spy on us. The whole servers, underground bunkers, all across the country, so they can monitor our communications. The whole thing was done just to take away our freedoms, to take away our privacy, more control. If anyone thinks 9/11 was about terrorism, they don't know what's going on at all.
How was it that they managed to take the buildings down? Was it, you mentioned Project Bluebeam, does that imply that the planes were holographic? Yeah. That's what I'm implying. They actually could have been masking missiles, but see, some people say, well, it was caught on video. It was caught on video. Well, it's holographic. These things were actually plasma-sized balls catching light. Well, okay, if anyone really wants to get deep into the science, they actually have these 3D constructs made from light that show up on radar, that are blipped as solid objects on radar. Now, this was used in 9/11. Satellite weapons were used to burn down the buildings, whatever the thermite and the bombs didn't take care of. Okay, so the planes were holograms using some kind of hard light technology, and then the buildings were demolished using explosives.
Correct. Well, Project Bluebeam was originally supposed to have been used to fake an alien invasion or the coming of the New World Order One God. Now, this was leaked. This information was leaked the conspiracy community exploded talking about Project Bluebeam, so they can no longer do that. But they had to do something to bring about a one world order. They came up with 9/11 instead.
Okay, so back when a guy like William Cooper was going around and exposing this stuff, people like him caused a lot of trouble for the New World Order, and they actually had to change their plans.
Absolutely. William Cooper, one of the best whistleblowers, philosophers of all time.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I just recently read his book, Behold a Pale Horse, and it's better than 99% of the new stuff that comes out as far as conspiracy literature.
I would agree.
And he seemed very split on the topic of aliens. He seemed that he believed in them, but he had that doubt in his mind that it might actually all be technology, might be human-based technology. He never really seemed to make up his mind, and then the next thing you know, he was being killed by some bullshit situation that's an obvious assassination job.
Obvious assassination, yeah. Well, he did speak of some aliens coming to Earth. This is around the time where we actually had developed radar, and he had explained how we were getting so many alien spaceships crashing, and that's because we were taking them down with radar. Something about their craft didn't like radar, and so the technology was reverse engineered that we have today. Most flying saucers that you see today are New World Order that reverse engineered UFOs. These alien abductions, quote unquote, are just, U.S. government or whatever government kidnapping people, implanting them. And guess what? These people who think that they have been abducted by aliens, they have these chips in them, they think they're aliens. No, these are targeted individuals. One of your first generations of targeted individuals. Now, we no longer need these chips inside of us because of the chemtrails, the nano-sized metallic elements, the aluminum, which coats our nervous systems, coats our brains. Okay? You interface that with a signal, you've got a living circuit.
Now, is there, in your opinion, is there a false disclosure or an alien deception actually coming in the future?
Well, I don't see the need for it. I don't see why that would happen because they've already pulled off 9/11. That was they just needed some huge event, and I believe it was Ronald Reagan who made the speech about what if we had some big event happen, alien invasion, or we had some enemy to unite against. Then we can be the new world order, one world order, and that's what they wanted to do. So again, everyone was tipped off about Project Bluebeam and a faked alien invasion, and this whole thing about the coming of the one God. They were going to have through this holographic 3D technology, they were going to have Buddha appear over in India in the East, and Muhammad was going to appear in the Middle East, and around the world they were going to have religious leaders, and then just merge into one individual, and that was supposed to be the New World God. Now, most people are becoming atheists these days, as you said, so not necessarily a viable thing. So they did actually try to come up with the New World Order religion to go along with that, and that is Scientology. That's the failed psyop for the New World Order religion. It's Scientology.
Oh, okay. So there was actually a more nefarious plan behind Scientology rather than to just hook in a bunch of celebs and take their money. There was something greater at work here.
Right. Well, they went along with it anyways, just so they can get money. Yeah, absolutely. I guess they had to get paid back somehow for all the money that they wasted, since they couldn't use this huge psyop. But yeah, Scientology, that is a big hub for gang stalkers. That's and international agent cooperation, intelligence operations. You know, they have psychotronic devices, e-meters. Okay, these people will read your thoughts. They will read ways that they can take advantage of you, take your money. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know that from listening to what is her name, Leah Remini. She was talking about all the crap that she had to go through when she joined Scientology and when she left, and it does seem very similar to gang stalking.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one cult that just keeps on giving. It's another Freemasonry pitfall for people to, pay for membership and be a part of the big boy club. And because you donated $10 million to us, we'll give you some boys to molest. This sort of thing like that. You know, this is the kind of people that we're dealing with. This is the kind of people, the kind of scum. I call these people pond scum because you know how pond scum works, right? It's this crap that floats up to the top of a water source and chokes out all sunlight, and it kills everything that's beneath it. And that's what this particular element of society is. That's what they amount to.
That does bring up another relevant topic. What do you think of this whole Pizzagate thing? Is it real or is it some sort of psyop trick? What do you think of
It's
Pizzagate?
entirely real. Trafficking young children is big business. You have, just to loop it back around, you have these agents, these COINTELPRO agents, these InfraGard agents. They'll scope out someone. Oh, this woman has nice looking children. Bet I can get a pretty penny for that. And for these kids. And, they'll put this woman or this parent through hell. Target them. Next thing you know, this woman has lost her job, lost her house, lost her kids. They'll just call an anonymous tip. This woman's beating her kids, or this woman's not feeding her kids. And CPS will come pick up those kids, and they're in the system to be picked off one by one. This happens every day. The child sex slave ring is big business. It's entirely real. That's just one way they get the children. We have war, in the Middle East. Okay, refugees, they're coming up missing. Refugees' children who are coming up missing. Children of war, they're coming up missing. This is probably the biggest business that there is. Trafficking children. How they've kept it so low key is just, that these politicians have military protection. The churches, okay? This stuff has gone so far out of the realm of being ridiculous. We're all awakening to this.
Yeah, and that's a good point you bring up. Go ahead.
They're throwing the church under the bus right now. These priests are molesting so many kids. There's so much porn. Actually, I got blocked today. All my posts across all social media I've been on today have been, attachment not shown and da-da-da-da, because I'm posting about this big bust that happened in the Vatican, or all this child pornography. And it's like, well, the only reason why it's happening is because the government, these politicians, they need a straw man. They need somebody to burn. So we know that they've been trafficking children. Oh, look over here. These priests are doing it. These priests are doing it. Feds go and get them. And these feds come in and take them up. But guess how they got all that child porn? Okay? Again, the NSA monitors all electronic communications, all information that runs across the internet. Doesn't matter what country you're in. The NSA knows everything that you're doing. And lesser known agencies across the world know what you're doing. So, how many times has one of our presidents gone over to, the Vatican to hang out with the Pope? You think that our so-called intelligence agencies, the FBI, the NSA, the CIA, is going to let our president go and hang out with the Pope, be buddy-buddy with all these Jesuit assassins walking around? and all this child pornography, all this stuff, they know everything that they're doing. So it's a big psyop that the government wants to get active in all of a sudden catching pedophiles. And you see in the news all the time, well, Jorge that came over the border from Mexico has 10 children. He's been da-da-da. No, forget all that. How about the big boys who are spending millions of dollars on hot dogs and pizza, who are within the government? They're trying to distract us. They're trying to take attention away from themselves. And people need to look through that. Because it's all about the mind control, how they can control your perception. Me, I see through the bullshit.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because that's a good point. I mean, if there are so many pedophiles out there and they are spying on everything that we're doing, then they should be eliminated all in an instant. It just doesn't add up when you really think about it.
It would be gone in an instant. There wouldn't be drugs in America, except for the CIA flying it in. Guns, drugs, I don't know how many jet airplanes have to crash that's filled with hundreds of bricks of cocaine in it. How many CIA jets have to crash before we just say enough? Because at this point, I think just wrote it in our faces. It's like, you know what we're doing, and you're not going to do anything about it. But really, enough's enough.
And that does kind of bring up another topic that I wanted to ask you about. One prominent figure in the conspiracy world, somebody that comes to mind almost immediately when any of these topics are brought up, is Alex Jones. A lot of people out there accuse him of being some kind of shill or disinformation agent. They say he's fake. They say the things he does do not add up. What do you think? V, what do you think about Alex Jones?
Well, one thing comes to mind when you say Alex Jones, and that's that short video clip where he's just screaming his head off and he turns Super Saiyan. well, I don't know. Around the time period where I got targeted to begin with, I was watching a lot of Alex Jones, and I was becoming aware more. Well, I was becoming more learned. I've always been aware, but was learning more and more and more. So he's given out some great information. He's done some good work exposing the elitists, but as of late, I think he may have been bought as a possibility. I'll just say, if the rumors are true that he's now saying Pizzagate's fake and chemtrails are fake, if he's actually saying these things, then he was bought off. I don't know either of these things to be a fact, if he was bought off or not, or if he was saying these things or not. So.
Oh yeah, I chemtrails. I can see them over my house every day. I mean, I could I could excuse maybe 2 or 3 of them being contrails, as they say, but not a checkerboard pattern of strange powdery substance being left in the air, almost like they're dusting a crop in a checkerboard fashion. That just does not make sense. There's no way that they're fake.
Exactly. And people, I think people should be getting pissed off. People should be getting to a point where they need some answers because, I mean, if your government can lie to you for 20 years, wait, what? There's no such thing as chemtrails. There's no such thing as chemtrails. What are you talking about? Those contrails. There's no such thing as chemtrails. For 20 years, we have this CIA jackass come out of the blue, standing up on the podium. Yes, I'm here today to confirm that chemtrails are real. Oh, really? No way, really? No S, Sherlock. So that's the arrogance of this government. It's nothing's a reality until they've confirmed it, until they say, okay, yeah, this is information. I'm sorry, I knew those were chemtrails since I was 5 years old. I asked my dad what those were. My dad's retired Air Force before he passed. He told me, yeah, those chemtrails. If I knew it at 5 years old, if I knew to ask my father why the sky looks like that, then why do we have so many people walking around thinking everything's normal, all hunky dory? Something's going on.
Yeah, that's a good
Right?
question. That is a really good question. Why is it that it's so hard to wake other people up? Why is it that they're so stuck to this consensus reality that's fed to them through the media?
Right. So there is a saying that reality is nothing more than a collective hunch. Well, I don't need anyone else's verification to understand that I know there's BS going on when I see it. People need to have that same sort of frame of mind, investigate anything that they hear, research anything that looks to be a little bit funny in their world. So I guarantee you there's some BS behind it. It's time to wake up and stop being sheep. It's time to wake up and stop being slaves to a godless and gutless system.
Do you support hacktivist groups such as Anonymous and what's the other one called? InfoSec, something like that. Do you support them?
Well, what do you mean, Antifa? I support anybody who is not just taking the BS that they're fed. Anybody. Anybody that wants to make their own way, anybody who wants to have their own point of view, anybody that wants to go out and hunt for the truth, anybody who wants to speak out has my full support.
I have to wonder if these young people that are well versed in technology and hacking, I have to wonder if they represent one of our best chances, considering the technology that Big Brother, that the Illuminati are employing. I have to wonder if these young folk that know how to operate computers and know how to find those little workarounds, I wonder if they are our best chance.
No, our best chance is civilian militia. Everyone needs to have guns in their household. Fight for your Second Amendment right. Because when the when the crap hits the fan, that's what it's going to come down to. I know people don't like hearing that. People might say I'm a radical. Some people might say that I just want to be a fire starter. No. If you look at the way this world is going, I mean, the Standing Rock natives, going through what they went through. I know if I had my own reservation, I'd have my own civilian militia. That would not have happened if I was running the place. Okay?
No,
But
V. Let me just challenge that just a little bit, just barely.
okay,
And I mean no, of course I mean no offense by this, but my question is, isn't that a little bit of a dangerous mentality, considering that that might actually lead to a situation like what happened with William Cooper, or a situation like Waco, Texas?
then so be it. You have to understand that by having the Standing Rock natives move over, to move off their lands, to have the government do whatever they want with them. This is very symbolic. Standing Rock. It's in the name, Standing Rock. If they can move these people, guess what? They'll move anybody. People are just gonna just be walked all over. Okay, Standing Rock represented so much. These Illuminati, these Illumitards, love their wordplay. Okay, for example, like Columbine. For example, Columbine comes from an ancient word, ancient mythos, Columbia, goddess. You know, occult stuff. And so the shootings that happened at Columbine, well, you had two kids who were targeted individuals. They targeted these children to where they hated the world so much and set up, the situation for them to go and do that school shooting. The space shuttles, flying off into space. If you line up the names, and which space shuttle didn't make it? The Challenger. The Challenger blew up. They're telling you, you cannot challenge us. Look at the names of anything, because the Illumitards will sign their names all over everything. They're all about symbolism. They're all about numbers. They like to sign their work.
What about the? I'm sure you've seen the Bohemian Grove footage that came out so long ago. What are those old men doing out there, running around and having these ceremonies and getting naked and singing and dancing? What are they doing? Why are they doing that?
Well, they're renouncing their humanity. Them burning the baby, the effigy of a child. That's a ritual called the cremation of care, meaning that after this ritual is done, all their carers are gone. They are no longer human. They have ascended to a level of God. They don't have to worry about the consequences of anything that they do. They are above consequence. They have no sin. This is the psychological mind job they do on themselves. So again, they are the illuminated. They can do whatever they want. They're above everyone. So all debauchery, there's no such thing as sin for them. They renounce sin in all forms. They have no guilt, no conscience. So they'll have, gay cocaine parties with each other, or they'll touch on little boys, start murdering children, like that Thompson Hunter guy, the things that he talked about.
Oh, Hunter S. Thompson?
Yeah. There you go. Hunter S. Thompson. Sorry. And this is what they do. Yeah, I mean, most of these people are so fake. They're not real human beings. Yeah, I mean, the Clintons had, lovers. All these politicians have marriages of convenience. We think that we live in a democratic society, a democratic government, but it's still an aristocracy. We have aristocrats in all seats of position, and even down to your local judge in a courtroom, who is a part of a Freemasonry group. one or another. This is the exclusive club. Okay, these are marriages of convenience between Bill and Hillary Clinton. They don't love each other. That's why they each do their own thing on the sides. Most politicians are like this.
Yeah, those two get up to all kinds of strange, creepy sexual things.
Yeah, these people are perverse to the nth degree, okay? Perverse. And they should not be in any positions of authority.
Now, go ahead.
We have psychopaths, okay? Let me just put it this way. These people can be classified as psychopaths, scientifically. Now, this is something that they don't want anyone to know, okay? There is brain imaging technology that can show whether someone's a psychopath or not. One big characteristic of a psychopath is they have very small amygdalas. This part of the brain is responsible for empathy. You have empathy towards another human being, to feel for another human being, to have care for someone else. Psychopaths' amygdalas are very diminished. And I'm sure other parts of their bodies are very diminished, but that's that's for their other insecurities, which we end up suffering for. These people are not whole human beings. They're not whole in any way, shape, and form. They're entirely lacking spiritually. They're entirely lacking in any moral code. They're actors. They'll act in front of you, so they look human. And you give them the reins of control. Well, that's why humanity has been having such a rough time.
This next question, this falls into the category of like an end time scenario. There's one word that comes up a lot in Revelations, the beast. You hear them talk about the beast quite a bit. In your opinion, if you have one, what is the beast from Revelations?
I believe it's the psychopath. I think that's why you're bringing up the question, right? The beast is the psychopath. See, the psychopath is essentially an animal in human form. Actually, yeah, that's not even fair to say. Dogs, cats, when when their owners have a bad day at work or something, these animals will come up to you and try to comfort you. They feel empathy and sympathy. But the beast is of the reptilian mind, which only knows aggression and fear, fight or flight. This is the beast, okay? You're psychopaths, the reptilians, so to speak, okay? And, something I really loved about the Native American culture and why they had the most civilized culture on the entire planet was because of the way that their politics worked. Now, despite the white conquering America painting the natives as savages, they were very civilized. They had a council where, the tribal leaders made decisions. But in these meetings, anyone else could say anything, even down to the littlest child. If they had an opinion about a certain matter, they were heard. Now, you had a shaman who lived outside the village. This shaman, and the way, our history books paint these people is completely different. They weren't witch doctors that did drugs all day long and chipped out. No, these were your enlightened doctors. They had supreme authority, and they did not abuse it. What these shamans did, they would come to the village. They would see how things are going on. And they had the ability to pick out psychopaths. Now, these shamans would either kill these psychopaths on the spot, whether they be children or whatever, fully grown adults, have they would be killed or made known to the rest of the tribe that this person will never hold a seat of power. And that was it. The chief couldn't say anything over that. That could not be overturned. And so, very civilized people, which is why they were such beautiful people, peaceful cultures, not savages like you see in the westerns. Civilized culture. We don't have a civilized culture anymore because these psychopaths have risen to every seat of authority in our society. This is the beast.
You've got very interesting thoughts on that. How do you feel about the Trumpster, Donald Trump? What are your thoughts on him?
He's another Illuminati. That's all I can say. He's a psychopath.
Did you vote for him? Did you vote for him?
Absolutely not. Trump, well, he's had a silver spoon in his mouth his whole life. He can't relate with anybody. Oh, I'm just like you guys, working class, give everyone jobs, and da 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 da. That's a load of horse crap. He's a racist. He's a chauvinist. He's greedy and completely arrogant. Him, when the cameras are out, this guy will push other people out of the way so he can stand center stage. I've seen this all over the media. It's disgusting. How this man got to be in the seat of presidency is a shame to not just the American people, but it's a shame in global politics altogether. This man bought his way into office. As simple as that.
Isn't it strange how Alex Jones was supporting him so hard?
Well, that's what I was saying. He may have been bought off at some point because Donald Trump has a war on independent media, has a war against media, because we all know how goofy this man is, how much of a joke he is, and everyone openly says it. So he immediately attacks media. He wants to walk on the red carpet like he's a celebrity, and he's not. He never has been. So he's a joke.
Are there any politicians that you do like or that you do support, like maybe a Bernie Sanders?
I'm currently supporting a couple of candidate for Senate in America currently. I'm actually campaigning with. There's Eric Griffin, who's running for Senate of Nevada, 2018. And then there was Massey Monroe, who, if this Feinstein woman gets out of her office out of Senate, Massey Monroe of California will be ready to take that seat. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But again, these are two people who are targeted individuals themselves. And I support them. I've supported them for a very long time.
Okay, let's say that somebody does suspect that they're being gangstalked. I mean, I can say myself, occasionally I'll get an email or I'll be talking to somebody and they'll say, hey, Daniel, this or that happened to me. These people, they were bothering me online. They were leaving me certain YouTube comments containing code words, or such and such person was following me, or strange van parked in my driveway. Let's say that we're dealing with a situation like that. What should I tell these people to do? How might they possibly handle this situation?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you how I dealt with it. I was gang stalked for 2 weeks straight. Uh, I had done a lot of research beforehand on the situation. I knew not to get paranoid. I knew not to be, overtaken by the psyop. I just go up to these vehicles and write down their license plate numbers, get a description of whoever the drivers were. And I mean, because it got so bad. I would go to the grocery store or Walmart. It could be nobody else around, 3 o'clock in the morning. I can park, be the only vehicle in the parking lot. Next thing I know, I've got someone that pulls in right next to me in the parking lot, pulls out a phone, pulls out a laptop, pulls out a newspaper, whatever. I can go to the park. At the time, I would go to the park with ex-girlfriend of mine and just someone would park right next to our vehicle, do the same thing. It's always a newspaper or a computer, or tablet, or something. And these people were elderly, old white men wearing retired Navy baseball caps, retired Air Force. They're all DOD. I just started going up to these vehicles and start writing down license plate numbers, getting their descriptions. I put a camera phone on them. So you got to do your counter surveillance. Have these vehicles checked out. Who's the vehicle belong to? Just go down the line. If any of it shows up DOD, if any of it shows up to be, belong to a private institution like like a mental ward or something like that, because they will follow you around. They'll be ready for you when you flip to take you off to a private institution, usually owned by whoever, DOD or something like that.
Yeah, that does make sense because you might have heard this, but in the alien UFO world, there's the case of a guy named Paul Benowitz that was looking into an underground base. He was recording signals coming from this supposed underground base in Dulce, New Mexico, and they actually drove him insane. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. They're befriending him and then kind of coercing with him, fucking with him. And then next thing you know, the guy is checking himself into an insane asylum.
Yes.
And that is a very well-documented case. And even the guys behind it, I think the guy's name was Richard Doty, part of the Aviary. They in later years, they admitted that's exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that, there's alien technology there. So they're running all sorts of projects there. These people are really obsessed with mind control and time travel. That's what these people are, just absolutely. And it's really sad. They're like comic book villains, but from the 30s. They're obsessed with mind control. And something that they'll never have. So, yeah, it's a mess. It's a sad state of affairs that this world is in currently.
V, I know that you've studied this quite a bit. What is the worst case of gang stalking that you've ever come across yet?
The worst. Out of my guess, or people that I...
let's just say all around, the worst case of gang stalking that you've ever heard about, maybe short of the ones where the person was actually killed, like William Cooper.
Well, I have several people that say they're followed everywhere that they go. White vans, people who will come into any store that they're in, cut in line, or talk to the cashier, strike up a conversation that takes forever. Some of these people, I hear from my female guest sometimes that these people even break into their homes and they rape them. These people will Do a lot of breaking and entering
Yeah,
and
that's pretty
stealing.
bad. Actually, raping somebody, that's pretty much as bad as you can get because you're completely taking a person's power away.
Well, the majority of these cases, these are police officers doing it. They have their police buddies protect them, run interference, this sort of thing.
That's interesting because I see videos like that on YouTube. There's one story where a woman was thrown into a cell and her clothes were completely stripped off and she was left in the jail cell for hours and hours and it was just a domestic disturbance. So this type of stuff does go on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the gang stalking. Most people just say that they've been gaslit. You know, they'll come home and see if their furniture's been rearranged, but nothing's stolen. It's called gaslighting. Um, there are there's just so many things they'll do to let you know if they're intruding on your life. They'll sensitize you to certain stimuli, like if something traumatic happened to you, they'll take something. Let's say you're beaten up by a guy in a red baseball cap. So after that event happens, you'll see a lot of people who are gang stalkers will wear a red baseball cap, and they'll sensitize you to it. These guys who are stalking you will do that, and then if you're just out in the general public, and even for someone who's not involved, who happens to be wearing a red baseball cap, well, you're still freaking out. This trauma-based mind control. So these people want to crack you as swiftly as they can.
Okay. And I do want to ask you, because I heard you talking about things like the Constitution earlier. V, do you still believe in America? Do you believe in this country still, or have you just lost all hope and faith?
Well, I'm a true patriot, and people don't understand that being a patriot is not backing up your government. A true patriot is standing with your countrymen against all forms of threats, even your own corrupt government. So, but I'm a true patriot. I do believe that America has a chance to wake up. People are waking up. People have a chance to change the world, but we got to do it. We got to get rid of the GMOs. We got to get rid of the chemtrails. We got to get rid of the fluoride in the water. We got to get rid of the family court system, which is 100% fraudulent. Let me tell you, by the way. Family court system is entirely unconstitutional and completely fraudulent. Court for rent. Um, you stop the children snatching, these sort of things. Our police forces have they're see a black person kill on sight mode. I'm seeing video after video of African Americans just being killed for no reason.
Yeah, isn't that
I'm
isn't that a
well.
shame?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I completely agree with you. It's such a shame. It's so disturbing seeing people getting gunned down, and then the people doing it are completely getting away with it. I mean, talking about gang stalking, like what more evidence do people need that this government, these police forces, are completely out of control?
Well, it really lets you know who's in control. White cops are getting paid vacation for for killing black people. No, they'll say suspended with pay, but that's another word for paid vacation. So it really lets you know what's going on, who's in control. These cops are getting back on the police force, getting their jobs back. Some of them just getting fined. No, as a cop, you kill someone, and it was a unjust, wrongful killing. You need to be charged, prosecuted, just like anybody else. Forget losing your jobs. Forget, these little other. No, you go to death row, just like the people It looks like everyone else that wants to kill anybody. You go to death row. That if we were to make examples out of these cops, because some people just need to fight back. Uh, we have bigger communities than these cops. Because I'll tell you what, these streets in America were a lot safer when the Bloods and Crips ran things. I hate to say it. You know, there's biker gangs on the roads. Society was a lot safer. You know, you're 18 times more likely to be killed by a cop than a terrorist attack.
I don't doubt it at all.
Oh yeah, we have SS Gestapo, neo-Nazi Gestapo in the streets. Let me tell you something. I moved to Poland. I'm here in Poland right now. I moved to Poland.
Oh,
And
you're
I'm
not
going to
even
tell you,
in this country. You're coming at us from Poland. That's crazy. Wow.
oh, I'm still an American citizen, but I moved to Poland, and I'm going to tell you the drastic difference of just society. In America, you see a cop car, maybe one out of every 3 or 4 cars. You have cops that show up to a traffic stop, 3 or 4 cop cars at one speeding ticket stop. You know, they say there's not enough manpower, not enough manpower. Anytime you see in these cop videos online, there's a mob of them. Backup shows up, there's a mob of them. Now here in Poland, to be quite honest with you, I can't even tell you what the cop cars look like. I've seen so few of them. I think I've seen two in the entire 8, 9 months I've lived here. I don't even remember what they look like. So just to paint the picture of America to you, you know, people gotta wake up. It's time to get back to the living document of the Constitution, which says there is to be no federal government. The people are to govern themselves. We shouldn't even have a standing federal army. We shouldn't have these federal intelligence agencies doing what they're doing. That's why we have civilian militia, supposed to police and protect ourselves.
Are
And
there
we need an abolishment of federal government. Get back to the living Constitution. That's right.
are there any survivalist strategies, any tips that you might want to give my listeners out there, any way that they can prepare themselves if they ever had to come under fire of a police state or survive in an apocalyptic situation?
Well, I like how you equate dealing with cops and apocalyptic survival situation. Well, let me handle those two separately. When dealing with the cops, I know I got profiled many times, and I mean, it's really harsh. I'll tell you, on my way here to Poland, I was profiled in San Francisco. Cops rolled up on their Segways, like the lazy scum that they were, and asked me for my ID. It's like, what do you need ID for? I don't need to show you an ID, sir. We have reports that there's empty vehicle. There's a vehicle outside that was just parked and unattended with the door open, and it's not. I was dropped off here. It's not mine. Okay, you have a good day, sir. We just want to see your ID. No, you don't want to see my ID. I wave my hand. You do not want to see my ID. I turned around and tried laughing it off because they're starting to irritate me. We heard reports that there's someone by your description. Well, I stopped them right there. By my description, what description would that be? A black man wearing a black trench coat, red bandana, dreadlocks down past his shoulders, with two gigantic bags, wearing steel-toed boots, black slacks. Really? There's someone in here of that description. And I went further on. I was like, you know what? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? I'm V from Red Pill Hardcore. Do you know what my show's about? And they're all shaking their heads. I deal with corruption, government corruption, police corruption. Do you want to continue down this path? I tell you what, they rolled down the waves a little bit to another terminal area, and like 4 or 5, 6, 7 of these cops on their segways, just with the most horrendous looks on their faces, just, they're powwowing with each other, like what to do. One of them rolled back to me and was like, "Sir, all we want to do is know who you are." I said, "I'm about to get my ticket from this check-in lady. If you don't want to know who I am, ask her after I'm gone." The guy went away. So you have to be firm with these cops, okay? They're kind of like dogs, okay? They're kind of like attack dogs, Rottweilers. Don't show any fear. Do not show any fear. Don't be aggressive to them, but don't show any fear, because then they'll think they can walk all over you. Now, these people are going to have me hemmed up over some fictional situation to make me miss my flight to Poland. Because I was fleeing, I was getting out of the country. Trust me, I was getting the hell out. I had, better life situation here in Poland. That, this whole thing about the land of the free, I'm more free here in Poland than I ever was in America. A black man treated better, more free here in Poland than I'm treated in America. So that just lets you know the mind control.
That's really sad to hear that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. People that live in a European country and probably hardly ever see black people are treating you better. That's really sad.
Right. And so people need to not give in to the BS. America's not free. America is neo-Nazi Germany happening. It's in process. And it's actually conquering the world through subversive means. So America is neo-Nazi Germany in its current state. People need to be aware. You want to avoid any situations where you have to deal with any agents of the system, whether it's CPS. You tell these people, you need a warrant to come into my house. Don't talk to them. Talk to them through the door. Don't open your door. Don't open your door to any police officers. You need to see a warrant through a peephole. Don't talk to these people. They will lie to you. We just want you to step outside. I've seen these videos where they say, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to write your son a ticket because, he was riding on his bicycle without a helmet. We just want him to come outside. He's going to get this ticket. He's going to get a ticket right now. Just let him come outside. And as soon as he steps outside, 3 cops jump all over him, put handcuffs on him, and take him off. They will lie to your face. Don't talk to any of these police officers without a warrant. Know your rights. You ask them, they're talking to you. Am I detained? Am I detained? They're telling you that you're breaking the law, that you're not breaking, and they're harassing you about your constitutional rights. You let them know. You stand your ground. Okay? But any of these agents of the system, with CPS, police, all these people, they need to come with a warrant. And if they don't want to come correct, they want to break into your home, they want to do any of this stuff, you got them. Just take them to court. You got them. Your communications are being hacked. You file your reports. Go to the media. It's very important that you go to the media. Anyone listening, the normal media may not want to talk to you, but go to your alternative media. Come to me. I'll talk to you. I'll get your story out there. Get documentation. Protect yourself. Go to those who will listen. And that's the beauty of independent media. I appreciate what you do, and I hope there's going to be more of us out there, because we have to police ourselves. We have to govern ourselves. Media is the alternative form of government, the fourth arm of government. it's very important that we use our voice.
Fantastic. I like what you have to say. Unfortunately, we are getting very short on time. In fact, we're approaching the end of our interview. But what I do want to do for you, I just want to open up the floor and give you one more chance to get up on the soapbox and just say whatever you want to say. And then please follow that up with any plugs that you might have. Anything at all that you'd like to plug, go ahead and do that now.
Well, I think I've been on the soapbox for too long, but if anyone wants to reach me, you can reach me at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. And you can also reach me on Facebook, my Facebook page, The Real V. Also, what else? My website, www.theredpillhardcoreonline.com.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. Well, you can also view my new TV show on NTV of Poland. I don't have the exact website. It's all in Polish. I hadn't learned Polish yet. But I'm with NTV here in Poland. I'm also with TLB TV, the Liberty Beacon TV. They just picked me up, and you might see me on Blade TV here soon. And I'm working on other broadcasters, so I'm doing my best. I'm grinding my axe. So please show your support, and we'll get all the truth out there.
Yeah, very cool. I'd like to thank you for coming on this program. It's nice and very refreshing to talk to another person that actually has a set of testicles.
Well, thank you.
And I would also like to say that I'd love to do this again someday. You have a lot of really interesting things to say. I love your approach, love the fact that you're not backing down from these assholes. And like I said, I'd love to do it again.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, until then, V, you have a very good day, my friend. Good luck.
All right, thank you. You too.
All right, bye. And there you have it. That was V from the Red Pill Hardcore podcast, now residing in Poland. So he actually went ahead and got the hell out. A lot of people will say, if you don't like it here, then get the heck out. Well, you don't have to say that to him because he's been long gone for a while now. But I do love the fact that he is doing what he's doing because, quite frankly, like I said to him personally, most people just do not have the balls to stand up to this system. I'd like to think that I'm doing the same thing. I'm sure that, obviously there's times when I'll back off a little bit because I'm thinking about my own safety. I'm concerned for my own welfare. But this stuff is very real. The gangstalking, the harassment. They don't want people going around talking about this stuff. So I think that he's incredibly brave for talking about it and incredibly brave for actually speaking out and taking his show to another country so that he can get away from the harassment and the suppression and broadcast whatever he wants. So I highly recommend everybody check out, truthpharmacy.com. Check out the Red Pill Hardcore podcast and look into his work. We'll have him on again. I like that conversation. I was a little unsure at first. We kind of started off on shaky grounds. He asked if this was a faith-based show, and I was like, hell no, it's not. I was worried that he might be, a Bible thumper or something like that, but I had it. My suspicions were completely wrong, and it ended up being an incredibly fascinating guest. So I'm very happy with how that went. Let's go ahead and take a break, and I will see you guys back here in about 10 minutes, and we'll vamp for about an hour or so, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, I think that is enough music. Usually I play like 2 or 3 songs, but I feel like keeping it moving. I don't really have anything that I need to take care of while the songs are playing, so I'd rather just hop right back on air. And I'm sure that you all out there would prefer that as well, because after all, I am Daniel, your cure for boredom, your cure for insomnia. No, wait, that's not right. Your cure for boredom, your cure for insomnia. I don't know how I would say that. I'm here to keep you from being bored. I'm here to keep you from searching through that podcasting dial, looking for some cheap entertainment and not finding anything. That's why I'm always here for you. That's why I do a long show packed with interesting information, relevant information. If you are into paranormal, if you are into conspiracies, well, this is the show for you. It's the best out there, in my opinion. It's the best out there in terms of what you're getting, in terms of how entertaining it is. It's the best in terms of having the best interviews. No, this show is not faith-based. It has never been faith-based. It's funny because sometimes people do get that impression because it's called End of Days Radio, and the end of days is from the Bible. But let's keep in mind that the end of days is not only from the Bible, that just about every culture has some sort of future prophecy, end times scenario in it. They've all got something. They've all got some kind of, whether it's the Hopi prophecies or whatever, they've all got some kind of end time. So it's not just a Christian thing at all. And no, I have absolutely nothing against Christianity. I have nothing against the Bible. I have nothing against any of that stuff. In fact, I think that it's good to have some type of spirituality, that's for sure. I certainly believe in God, and I believe in being a good person. I believe in an afterlife. I believe in things like angels and demons, spirituality in general. Do I necessarily trust everything that's written in the Bible? Do I trust the Catholic priest who probably just got done hiding his child porn? Do I trust people like that? No, I will never trust people like that. I will never trust any organization to be my gateway to the spiritual world. I think that's something that we all need to go through. We all need to learn as a collective humanity. We need to get away from this idea that we need to sit down in a congregation, that we need to have idols to worship. Doesn't it say in the Bible itself that you shall bear no false idols? There you go. What are all of these things we see, like these big McDonald's signs, the golden arches, or even inside of a church where you have these different statues and things like that? It's all idolatry, isn't it? That's something that the Bible warned against. It's so funny that Jesus was going around trying to tell people to free their minds and not buy into bullcrap. Instead, what they did was they took the stuff that he said, they twisted it around and turned it into more bullcrap. That's kind of my gripe with the whole situation. And I don't mean to offend anybody. That's not my goal. I'm just telling you what I believe. I'm honest. I will tell you what I believe. I'll tell you where I'm at right now. I'm not going to be one of these fake people that gets on the air and just tries to appease people. I got in a little trouble the other day because I said something about hippie chicks with hairy armpits, and this girl on YouTube just completely, she got angry by it. She got angry because she probably is a hippie chick, and maybe she doesn't always keep up on shaving the pits, and I happened to say something that was offensive to her, and she took it personally. There's no reason to take things like that personally. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm making a joke about women that don't shave their pits. I mean, I don't know if you need to shave your pits. Maybe you have blonde hair and you can hardly see it. Maybe the armpit hair is really thin. Maybe you don't even need to do that. I mean, if you're a brunette and you're really hairy, then it's not going to hurt you if you trim things a little bit. but really, I mean, I don't care if you shave your pits or not. I'm not looking to date every single female listener of the show, so your appearance does not matter to me. I am simply happy that you are listening and that you are tuning into this broadcast weekly or bi-weekly or tri-weekly, however often we're doing the show. What's funny is I had Richard Bruce on, and a lot of people were kind of complaining about how much he got into the faith and the Bible and stuff like that. He's very devout religious, and I kind of talked to Richard a little bit after he came on the program. I'm a pretty friendly guy. I'll kind of keep in touch with people. I'll chat with them a little bit. I'll talk to anybody. People are always hitting me up over Twitter, or over Skype, or through the emails, stuff like that. I'm always talking to people, always communicating. But he really wanted to change my mind about something, because I had mentioned that I don't believe in the Bible word for word. I'm kind of open to all religions, and I'm open to all types of beliefs. And there was a lot that happened. Like, I was helping him with some computer stuff, and we had a chat. We attempted to do an interview. He was going to interview me, and I was telling him about things that have happened in my life. But afterwards, he was kind of preaching at me a little bit, and I was kind of thinking to myself, okay, I was just kind of talking to some of my listeners about not judging a person for, Bible thumping a little bit. Don't shut it all out. Don't judge a person because they're talking about religion or the Bible, or it feels like they're preaching at you. But in that moment, I thought to myself, geez, this is incredibly disrespectful to me, because I know what I believe, and I hate for somebody to come at me with this idea that what they believe is superior to what I believe. Who's to say that I'm not right? Why is anybody trying to tell me what the truth is, or trying to tell me where I'm going wrong, and that I need to come over to their side, or I need to believe what they believe? And in that moment, I totally got it. I totally got why people were complaining about that. Complaining about the preaching. I don't really care for that personally. But, of course, it's nothing against Richard. I think he's a hell of a guy, a great researcher, a very great guest to have on the show. And, I'll continue to be friends with him and continue to have him on this program. But we did have a little bit of a disagreement there. And I got a little bit perturbed, and I wrote him this long email in response saying, blah, 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 Council of Nicaea, Romans, Jesus, lost scrolls from the Bible, how can you trust any of that, blah, blah, blah. And then, he wrote me back, and I wrote him back again. It was turning into argument, and finally I thought to myself, okay, this is why you don't get into things like religion or politics and topics like that. I mean, it's a little bit hard to not get into those subjects when you're doing a show about those subjects. I mean, obviously we get into topics of world news and belief and afterlife and stuff like that. So, there's going to be disagreements, but no, I'm not faith-based. I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in Christianity. If that's your thing, I don't fault you for it. Of course not. I have family members and close friends that are devoutly Christian, devoutly religious. And I don't say things to insult them. I'm not constantly questioning what they believe or throwing things in their face. I don't believe that's right either. I believe that the Bible has all sorts of wisdom in it. Maybe if we took just a little bit from each and every religion, we would have it. We would have the truth. I don't think that man has been on this planet or this flat earth, whatever it is, for thousands and thousands of years and hasn't figured anything out. It's just that when somebody does figure things out, it turns into this whole thing of what I believe versus what you believe. Okay. It would be kind of cool to interview myself, because a lot of people say, Daniel, you're such a good interviewer. It's too bad that you can't interview yourself. That's not the worst idea I've heard. I might do that one of these days. I might just have a guest come on that's actually in disguise, and it's actually me. And I'll talk like this. Hi, this is D. I'm broadcasting from a hidden location in Alaska. Oh, okay, D. So how did you get into all this paranormal stuff? Well, it all started when I was a child, and I was abducted, and I was molested by Sasquatch. Something like that. I could put together an interview that would be about me, but I would be incognito, so nobody would know. And I bet those interviews would get the highest ratings out of any of them. It's true. So another thing that I'm focusing on is, I've talked about this a little bit before, but rebuilding the live show. So after I started this show, there were a lot of bad feelings floating around and stuff like that, and I wasn't really sure where I wanted to take it. There was a lot of trolling and stuff like that going on in the chats, and I really hated it, because here I've come from running a forum for over a decade, And I really wanted End of Days Radio to be different. I didn't want it to be a bunch of trolling and immaturity and stuff like that. So I kind of started to get a bad attitude about the chats and stuff like that because I was just thinking to myself, geez, why should I even deal with this negativity? Why should I even bother, right? I mean, so many people listen to the show in podcast form. Why should I even bother with that at all? I'm just being honest. I don't mean to insult any of you loyal chatters or anything like that. I'm just being completely honest. There was a big thing going on with my ex-co-host, and that was contributing to these feelings of, geez, I gotta change things. I gotta reconfigure. I gotta get away from this person. I gotta get away from this. You know, I've talked about this endlessly. No reason to go too much into it. But one mistake I did make is I kind of let the chat and the live show kind of die off a little bit. I hated all those phone calls coming at weird times and screwing things up and sending things in different directions. That it was really bothering me because I wasn't in control of that. The person who I was doing a show with, he was just being completely irresponsible with the phones, and he was just letting people call and interrupt at any time. It was very disrespectful to me. So I kind of got a kind of a shitty attitude about that whole thing when I really shouldn't have, because that's dumb. I mean, we're talking about a completely objective thing that helps the show quite a bit and helps the show have that feeling of, hey, we're going live right now. Hey, you know, this is the crowd. This is the crowd that's so into it, they're going to show up for the live show. That's a really important element. And after it kind of dissolved, and even though the podcast forum, you know, the ratings were going up and up for that, I just felt kind of lonely sitting here doing the show and not having that type of interaction. So right now, I'm really in the process of rebuilding the live show. If you can make it, that would be awesome. Like right now, we're kind of in a rebuilding process, so there's not going to be a whole lot going on there. Most people just listen to this show later on. They just download it later, which is fine, which is completely fine. But I do want to make a concerted effort to market the live show again and just change my whole philosophy and attitude towards it, because I don't have any reason to stick to my ways. I'm always trying to evolve, always trying to improve the show. As many of you know, if you go back and you listen to the first episodes, then it's completely different sounding. Of course it is. Just like you could look at anybody in any type of career, any type of thing that they're doing, and you look at their stuff early on, and it's very babyish and amateurish. And if you look at the stuff that they've done last, you're looking at them when they're at the height of their craft and at the height of their experience. So I'm always trying to get better at this. I would never want to rest on my laurels or think that I'm God's gift to radio or anything like that. Sometimes I joke around, you know, I'll say, oh, I'm the best ever, stuff like that. But I'm mostly just kidding around. I have a very realistic idea of where I'm at and where I want to go with this. So that's that. There is one letter that I wanted to read. So, okay, we have one letter and we have some news stories. I don't have tons of time, but I'm going to try to get through all of this stuff quickly. So this is a letter from a listener, and it says, "Yo, Daniel, how you doing? ? Just want to let you know I like the show. It's fun when you make fun of hairy armpits, haha. Don't listen to the angry woman. They always want to change shit. And when you do change, they don't like you no more. Crazy ladies, period." Oh, and when you just started alone, you said you gonna interview Max Cole. Is that still gonna happen? Great show, Daniel. Keep it up. With best regards from the Netherlands, Woozy. So shout out to Woozy for that awesome letter, awesome fan letter. I do so love reading these on air. If you want to email me at daniel@endofdaysradio@gmail.com. That's daniel@endofdaysradio@gmail.com. That's also the email that you're going to use if you'd like to appear on the show as a guest. So if you're thinking about that, go ahead and email me at daniel@endofdaysradio@gmail.com. Very easy to remember. So thanks, Woozy. That's a nice thing for you to say. I do sometimes have those thoughts like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. maybe I shouldn't have gone there. Was it worth it? Why did I even talk about that? Why would I do that? But when I see stuff like this, it really makes me realize, hey, who cares what anybody thinks? If you go on air and you try to appease this or that group, and you try to appease everybody, you'll appease nobody. Because you'll come off like a fake, you'll come off like everybody else. Or not everybody else, but most people. Most people go with the flow. Most people just do what they're told. Most people are super afraid of offending people. Most people will not speak honestly off the cuff. That's something that I should avoid, not move towards. And it's hard. It's not easy being honest on the radio because you always have that pressure there. You always have that pressure to not say things that could cause you to lose listeners or fans. But at the end of the day, I mean, am I getting paid for this? No. So really, the whole goal here is to provide good radio. And if I'm just looking at numbers and not thinking about what's good radio, then I'm really doing a disservice to everybody out there, including myself, because I'm being fake. Because I'm selling out and I'm becoming just like everybody else out there that goes to their shitty job and listens to their shitty asshole boss and never stands up for themselves and never tries to make a change. I'm not going to be that guy. I've had to be that guy at times. I mean, who hasn't had to put up with some asshole to make ends meet? Right? We all have to. And it's understandable. I'm not condemning anybody for doing what they have to do. Of course. Yeah, I mean, you want to be a real man and take care of yourself, take care of your family. You do what you have to do. That's good. But not this cookie. I'm not going to come on here and be fake or worry about people's opinions or not say how I feel about Donald Trump or say how I feel about hairy armpits. I can't be that type of person. And for all these social justice warriors that want to go around and beating people up in the YouTube comments and stuff like that because of stuff that they have to say, well, save your breath because you're not going to have any effect on me. I don't care if I offended you. You can sit there and you can try to troll me all day. I've seen it all before. I don't care. I'm going to be me. If I really did something wrong, maybe I'll think about it. Because I am human and I can fault, I can do things wrong. I'll think about it. I'll take it into consideration. But I'm not going to let you pressure me into becoming George Norrie. I'd rather hang myself. I'll never be a Norrie. I'll never be a Snorri. And I'll never stop calling Norrie a Snorri either. I promise you that. Even if he calls me personally and he tells me how awesome I am and invites me to the weekend slot on Coast to Coast, I'll say, George, I'm sure that there's a lot of good money in it. I'm sure that it's a great opportunity, but I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to have to say no because for me, integrity comes first. And then he'll go home and he'll look in the mirror and he'll think, oh man, if only I was more like Daniel. At least I have all this money, but I lost all my self-respect. Okay, anyways. We've got a couple news stories here. Oh, there's too many of them. Look, I don't have time today. I don't have that much time. I'm going to save most of these for next time. I do apologize. But I'm going to just go for one. I'm going to talk about one news story. So, apparently Johnny Depp... Oh, I'm sorry. This comes from MSN.com. Mainstream News. Is that what it stands for, MSN? I think it was originally a Microsoft thing, wasn't it? Microsoft something news, Microsoft News? I don't know. Mainstream News. So, Johnny Depp said something about how he wanted to assassinate Donald Trump. And Donald Trump responded by posting pictures of Amber Heard all beat up. Look what kind of guy you are, Johnny. Well, first of all, who the hell cares about Jack Sparrow's opinion about politics or the government? Who the hell cares about an actor who does nothing other than act? I mean, he's a great artist. He's a great actor. In fact, I would say that Johnny Depp is probably one of the top 5 or even top 3 male actors that I can even think of. That's how good he is. He's kind of weird. He kind of has a different style, but he's very artistic. I mean, He obviously does a good job. People remember his characters, and they remember them for eternity. That's how good he is. But does that mean he's an expert on politics? Does that mean he's an expert on government? Does that mean he's an expert on the world? No, he's just another empty-headed flake celebrity. And his opinion about Donald Trump or anybody else does not matter. And I'm not defending Trump or anything like that. I'm not sticking up for him. I'm just saying I don't care about Johnny Depp's opinion. I don't care about Amy Schumer's opinion. I don't care about Katy Perry's Illuminati opinion. They are vapid, stupid celebrities, and there's no reason why we should be going to look at them or to them for answers. I've said this many times before. I don't care what so-and-so Rosie O'Donnell or any other vapid celeb idiot thinks about political issues. And they would do a service to themselves to just not even talk about it. Because who really cares what they think? Are you really going on Twitter and taking Katy Perry's opinions into consideration in regards to how you vote or how you spend your money or anything like that? I mean, what has she even done in her life? She was handpicked because she looks a certain way and because she dresses a certain way and she can sing. She was handpicked to make all this money. She didn't really work hard. I mean, I don't know her. I don't know what she's done to get where she's at, but I don't imagine that she's really struggled at any point in her life. So who is she to tell the normal folk what they should think or how they should feel? If I was her, I would just shut up. I really would. Okay. And the same thing goes for the president. Why is he posting pictures of a beat-up Amber Heard? That's ridiculous. I mean, who are you trying to impress with something like that? That's your mentality. So we're going to throw stones, we're going to throw sticks, and Johnny Depp is so important that a president has to take time out of his day to troll him back like a freaking 13-year-old? Who is advising here? Why is this even happening? Which one's the bigger idiot? Johnny Depp or Trump? I don't know. I don't really care too much for either of those guys. I mean, they're both entertaining. They both make me laugh practically all the time. I'll give that to both of them. In fact, they'd be better off teaming up and doing Pirates of the Caribbean 10, The Search for the Golden Trump, something like that. But I'm going to get off this subject because I know all of you hate politics. I know all of you hate, especially when I talk about politics. No, I don't know. I don't know if you hate it or you like it. I have no idea. I'm going to keep doing it. If it's relevant, I'm not going to force it in there. So, as far as the whole gangstalking thing, I do feel like a person can read too much into things. Of course that can happen. A person can see something or notice something and perceive it and exaggerate it into being something that it's not. You can make a mountain out of a molehill. And it probably happens all the time. I often hear this allegation that people that are experiencing this are somehow creating it either through their actions and intent or they're actually just imagining it. They're dreaming it up. And in some cases, I would say that that's probably the truth. There is such a thing as mental illness. There's such a thing as paranoia. There's such a thing as insecurity. Of course these things are real. Schizophrenia, these things are real. I mean, schizophrenia is a pretty loose definition. I don't know what it means exactly, but there are people that have these problems, and it would be irresponsible for me to say that there is no such thing as mental illness or people never misperceive things around them. But on the same token, that doesn't mean that every case is that. It doesn't mean that even most cases of gang stalking are that. So I think that if somebody is coming to you with these issues, even though the immediate reaction is to kind of shut them down and say, oh, you're creating that, or you're being paranoid, even though that's the immediate reaction, I say hear them out. See if there's any veracity to what they're saying. See if there's any truth to it. Because you never know. Give them a chance. Have open ears. Don't shut down people that come at you with some kind of paranormal story or something unconventional. If you do that, you're being a dick. You're not listening. You're not taking the person seriously. You think that you know it all. You think that you have reality all figured out, and you don't. Just like when you used to believe in Santa Claus and you found out that there was no Santa Claus. Well, yesterday you didn't believe in aliens, and now you do. It's the same thing, except in reverse. With little green men. Instead of presents. Actually, it's kind of shitty when you think about it. I'd rather believe in Santa Claus. But who knows, maybe Santa Claus is actually Satan Claus. And the whole point of doing that is so that you can break the hearts of children by the millions worldwide every year when they find out there is no Santa. Perhaps that's the first disappointment to set up a series of disappointments that will last the rest of their lives. Maybe it's all mind control. Who knows? We will find out soon. Hey, if you're a fan of End of Days Radio, stop by endofdaysradio.com. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Subscribe on YouTube, all those different services we're on. Subscribe on TuneIn, search for EODR. You can call in the show at 209-348-9810 or add NinjaShoe777 on Skype. Like me on Facebook, that's The Real End of Days Radio. Also, we have a lot of shows lined up. Upcoming on the 27th, the day after tomorrow, we'll be talking to Mark Sargent about Flat Earth. Marshall Masters on June 28th. We'll be talking about Nibiru. We got Wolfman Mike from Monster Castle Paranormal coming on July 1st. Kiwi Niimi from Kittenhead. She's the lead singer of Kittenhead coming on July 3rd. We've got Graham and Darren from the Grimerica podcast coming on July 7th. And our favorite cryptozoologist Linda Godfrey coming in on July 11th. So a lot going on this month. It should be a good month. If you like End of Days Radio, feel free to stop by endofdaysradio.com and click that donate button. Help us keep up with those monthly server costs by donating. It helps so much. I do appreciate your donations. This is a completely free program and will continue to be a completely free program always. I'll never put this show behind a paywall. I will never bombard you with tons of advertisements. Never going to do any of that stuff. This show will always be here free for you. So please stop by endofdaysradio.com, join the forum, participate, come by the chat room during our live shows. Just click on chat room, and I will see you the day after tomorrow. And we will talk about some flat earth. One of my favorite topics. But I'll see you then. Until then, goodbye. Raising consciousness and awakening mankind. This is End of Days Radio.